Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Morino Ravenberg here again. As usual, there are links to the topic that I'm going to cover in the description below, along with my web shop. And by links, I mean a link to the article that in which the topic that I shall be discussing. The link to that is in the description below, along with the link to my web shop for my magical services. I am going to discuss the Book of Black Venus. For those of you that do not know what the Book of Black Venus is, like I explained in the article, it's a magical workbook similar to the Lesser Key of Solomon and all the subcategories therein, like the Goetia, the Ars Paulina, you name it. These are all traditional magical grimoires or magical workbooks. And what the Book of Black Venus is that it was allegedly written by John Dee, a famous magician, and he was also, I think, subservient or the assistant to Queen Elizabeth of England in medieval times. Please spare me. I'm not sure regarding the details, so what I'm saying is more speculation. But yeah, I am nearly 90% sure that that is it. And in short, the book itself describes a traditional method for summoning 6 demons that fall under the planet Venus. And in that magical workbook, their seals, so their logos, along with their names and their attributes are listed. To start off, these demons in general, they don't have any specific specialties, okay? You can summon practically every one of these demons without having to worry what this one specializes in and whatnot. So all of them fall under Venus. So they, in that sense, they don't differ from each other in that sense. It doesn't really matter which one you invoke in terms, or which one you summon in terms of results. And of course, the grimoire or that workbook also lists the implements that you need, like the horn of Venus. It's a horn that you have to use. A magic circle that you have to find yourself in, where you're protected by divine forces from the malice of these demons. So basically, to prevent these demons from hurting you, and other instructions are listed therein. I am going to discuss my experience with these demons, but not in a traditional sense. There's also a link in the article at the end that leads to another one of my articles that's called Why Traditional Grimoire Magic is Overrated. In short, traditional magic, in my opinion, not just in my opinion, to my knowledge and experience, is hopelessly outdated and overrated. The methods that they used back then, let's just say centuries ago in medieval times, are wildly impractical today. I'm just going to give you an example. Back then, if you wanted to summon a spirit, you had to do all kinds of extravagant things, and things including things like fasting, so abstaining from food, stacks and whatnot, as a means of purifying yourself spiritually. Okay, the meaning of all of these things is not just to purify yourself physically, but it basically cleanses your soul, so to speak. It cleanses your astral body, and basically to make you worthy of these spirits and their attention. These spirits aren't going to pay attention to you if you're completely corrupted and let's just say filthy of sin. And that's basically the meaning behind most traditional magical operations. So you had to do things like that: fast for 2 weeks, go without barely any food or drink, you had to abstain from sex, you had to pray vigilantly. You really had to pray vigilant. You had to pray excessively. I'm talking about at least pray a couple of hours a day and non-stop, you name it. And all of these things, to be honest, are not doable for the modern person. For someone living in the 20th century, these things aren't doable. If you're someone that has a regular life, you have a job, you have a home, you have a family, things like these are not doable, to say the least. I'm not saying that they're impossible. They are doable, but the lengths that you'll have to go through are wildly impractical. So I just use the modern system of summoning spirits, or the way that modern magicians, 20th century magicians, used to summon spirits, okay? And I'm going to discuss my experiences in that. I'm going to keep it short. The article already lists everything. I summoned these 2 demons as spurred on by my financial manager, the spirit that manages my financial life. And I summoned the demon Mogarib and the demon Belzazel. When I summoned Mogarip, he appeared as a spectral shade, you know, let's just say kind of like a realistic version of Casper. He only had one eye, a black eye, almost like an opening, and he was skinny, and his voice was the same way that you would imagine a shade's voice to be. I'm talking about a shade or a specter, more like, you know, not even guttural, completely ethereal and whatnot. So not a refined voice or anything like that. And Belzazel's voice, the appearance that he took was similar to that of Mogarip. It was, but it was like kind of like the fat version or the obese version of Mogarip, kind of like a muscular, burly, orc-shaped shade or specter. And same deal. He also had an eye in the middle, and let's see, what did I write down again when it comes to voice? Yeah, his voice was guttural and murky. His voice was like it was really low in when it comes to tone, his tone of voice. My financial manager, interesting. My financial manager and my patron were both present, but my financial manager put his hand, because he managed and oversaw everything, the entire ritual. He basically managed everything, so he put his hand on their heads like this, and they were frightened, of course, and they were like, oh, this spirit, and so on. And that's why I also commanded them to carry out their tasks in in his name and by his authority. But unfortunately, these guys are weak compared to the other spirits that I'm used to working with. Compared to, I tried asking them to boost my business and to see to it that I got customers. And it's not like I didn't get customers. I did get customers, but it was unsatisfactory compared to the other guys that I'm used to working with. I'm talking about for boosting purposes, like Belial and Salashas that I mentioned in previous articles. Those guys were top notch. They are top notch. They were and they still are, along with other spirits. So you can't compare these spirits to them, okay? But that's also obvious. These demons that are mentioned in the Book of Black Phoenix, they're more slaves, okay? These guys are the lowest of the lowest. You can conclude that when it comes to power and efficiency and their rank within the spiritual hierarchy, Venusian hierarchy. So these guys rank on at the absolute bottom, or at the very least near the absolute bottom. It shows by their appearance, it shows by their way of talking, and it shows last but not least and most importantly in terms of results. These guys are not worth my time personally. I leave that up to you, viewer, if you want to engage with them, but no, these guys aren't worth my time. But do see to it, I do advise that you see to it that you have some superior spirit, like an archangel or an angel whose backing you have, that will protect you during the ritual. You just never know. But that is all. I have nothing else to say on these guys. I wouldn't advise like just summoning them without any kind of protection whatsoever. I wouldn't advise that with any spirit, but just see to it that you have someone backing you or that you have some level of protection. But these guys are lacking in power and efficiency. No offense meant to them, but these guys are lower level astral spirits and they're not worth my time.